The geography of global supply chains is a complex and important issue for any Australian business seeking to move downstream in battery industries. The first report of the year by the Future Battery Industries Cooperative Research Centre addresses the issue. The governance of battery value chains, security, sustainability and Australian policy options. We sat down with the report author, Dr. Jeffrey Wilson, Research Director at the Perth US Asia Centre, to gain some insights into the report.
Both the Australian governments and industry have large ambitions from the battery sector. Batteries are going to be a major growth component of the global economy with a transition to renewable energies and new energy grid technologies. But the reality of this industry is it's a global one. And with international value chains connecting downstream, midstream and upstream suppliers. And so this project, which was supported by the Future Batteries Industries CRC, is designed to understand how those international value chains work, what the governance principles are, and where Australia's best opportunity to carve out a new role in those networks is. So Australia is already a major player in the global battery industry, principally as a raw materials supplier. We supply about half the world's primary lithium and a serious amount of nickel and increasingly rare earth minerals as well. But what we see is there's not a great deal of Australian presence further along the value chain, particularly at the midstream or components processing stage or the downstream end where you see the technologies. And so the agenda for Australia is to build off that foundational base as a resource supplier and move along the value chain to points where greater value adding can be added to the national product. The big challenge for the battery industry in the 21st century is that their existing value chains are neither secure nor sustainable. There are major volatility in a lot of markets, which makes investments hard to plan. And in a lot of countries, there are very significant social and environmental problems around how these minerals are mined and also processed. This makes Australia an ideal partner. It is a well-known, trusted and reliable jurisdiction as an economic partner. And we also have very high standards in terms of our social and environmental credentials in the resource sector. So for Australia, our value proposition to global value chains in the battery sector is offering a new form of supply that is far more economically secure and far more socially sustainable than many of the other options on the table today. Australia's already got a solid foundation in the battery industry. We have the geology, we have the mining industry to mine these minerals, and indeed we're already a major world supplier of primary battery minerals. So the logical next step for Australia is to move along the value chain, particularly to the next step along, which is the midstream or processing stage. This would be things such as battery cathode manufacture, for example, which will help Australia build its industrial base from the resource out to the processing as well. And this proposition will be particularly attractive to value chain partners, especially those in Asia, who at the moment are looking for more secure and sustainable options in that critical midstream part of the value chain. The important thing that we need to know is that no country in the world, including Australia, can build an entire battery industry from start to finish entirely on its own. This is an inherently global industry. And so what we need to do is work with both existing partners in the sector, but also emerging players that are moving into the sector as the renewable energy transition gathers pace, to build the kind of relationships that we need to become involved in those global value chains. Some of the most important things will be to firstly developing trade linkages with other suppliers in the value chain, turning those trade linkages into investment partnerships where you can supply capital and equipment, and ultimately moving towards knowledge sharing where different parts of the value chain are able to coordinate their activities and build stronger webs and connections. Across all of those fronts, the key next step for Australia is to take its proposition to the world and build the relationships necessary to take that step.